Hey there, my name is Shane Craddock, and this is the Inner Edge podcast, where I share a different take on how to lead and live a sustainable, high performance life. Over the course of different episodes, I'm going to challenge the belief that tension, stress, and struggle are essential to success and creativity. My experience is that there's an easier way, there's a better way, and indeed there's an essential way that we need to explore for the times that we live in. So let's go ahead, let's jump in and explore. Hello there, welcome to today's podcast. I have to say that I am in a nice relaxed mode today. As I'm recording this, it is Friday the 20th of December. I'm back a couple of hours from a very early morning hike with some clients. We've done this for the last few years, where we've gone for a hike in the darkness of one of the shortest days of the year. We call it the winter solstice hike. We meet at 7:30 and climb some of the Spink, which is in the valley of Glendalough. Beautiful place if you don't know it. There's the ruins of a 4th century monastery there, and look it up online if you don't know it. It's one of the most beautiful places in Ireland, and I'm very lucky that it's quite close to where I live. Anyway, myself and a few other brave souls went out in the darkness to try and climb one of the hills there to meet the sun as it came up. Now, the sun came up, but we didn't necessarily see it because it was so cloudy and misty, and it was rainy, and we got very wet. But what was great about it was that it was just fresh air for a few hours out in nature, with the goats, some deers, and birds, and good people. And what was best of all was I just didn't allow myself to think in any way about work. And that is what I want to talk about a little bit today, especially as we're coming into the holiday season, the Christmas season. And it's why I've called today's episode The Beauty of Switching Off to Switch On Your Potential. Now, if you've been a long-time listener to this podcast, or if you know me in any way, you'll know that I am obsessed with potential in terms of your potential, my potential. But one of the things that I've realized myself is that the more my mind switches off, and in a way kind of goes into what I would call almost a neutral gear, that the more effective I become, that the more my potential switches on. And that's why today I just want to talk about stepping away perhaps from the mental clutter that can often be not just around us in a normal day-to-day scenario, but also during the Christmas season, the holiday season. And I think when you switch off properly, it isn't just restful, it actually unlocks your creativity, your focus, your energy. So essentially what I'm saying is when you switch off your busy mind in a certain way, you definitely turn on your potential. Now, as I said, when I was out on the hike, there was lakes, there was waterfalls. Like, it's just beautiful. Even though it was cold and wet, it didn't matter. It was really, really enjoyable, energizing. And I just wouldn't let myself think about work. Yes, thoughts crossed my mind to do with the business of closing out a year on a business level, and lots of different things to do and everything, but there's always stuff to do. Well, what's nice is that a couple of people at different points during the hike said to me that they thought about something, maybe an idea or a solution, just simple stuff. And that's what I love about something like that you're getting a return actually on time that other people say, well, I'm too busy. And actually somebody was nearly not going to come. They'd said to me, they canceled the night before and said, I've got something I need to get done. And then they turned up and they just said, they were so busy, they were overthinking something. And they said, you know what, I'm just going to do the hike. And it was great to see them arrive, maybe looking a little bit tired and stressed, but leaving, they were bright, recharged, re-energized. Now, when you're during this break or the holidays that are coming in, there's always a temptation, I think, maybe without realizing it, to keep your mind busy. Now, it mightn't be busy necessarily with emails and work-related queries and your boss or employees or customers, but it could be just as busy with podcasts, social media, streaming services, busy reading. Like, you could be scrolling through social media during your Christmas holidays. You can be keeping the mind active, still busy, and not getting that rest and not getting the recharge. Even if you're out for a hike, you could have your earbuds, your AirPods in and still keeping the mind busy. What about actually considering putting the mind completely into neutral. I sometimes think about a cow, just sitting or standing in a field, just chewing slowly the grass. That to me is almost the level that you get to, or that you can get to. That's the level of charge or recharge I'm talking about. It's funny because I think a lot of the time, sometimes we're conditioned to think that constant thinking equals productivity. But yet more and more, what I realize myself and working even with high performers is that constant thinking, sure, can keep you busy to get things done, but it's not the strategy for the highest effectiveness or high performance at all. In fact, actually, as you go along in your life, it starts to wear you out. And especially in today's world where it's so connected and so busy and so volatile, I think it's a recipe for trouble. So for me, I'm very much looking forward over the Christmas to giving my mind a deliberate break away from goals, priorities, questions, challenges. Just give myself a break, and I won't let myself go into thinking around those areas. I know thoughts will come in, but already I'm saying to myself, I'm the boss of my mind, and I just won't let myself go into that thinking. If needs be, I'll write something down, maybe, but even still, I might just let it go. Now, you may have heard me, again, if you're a long time listener to this podcast, or if you've read my book, The Inner CEO, you'll have heard me talk about the snow globe metaphor, which essentially is that your mind is like a snow globe. It works best when it's calm, clear, and settled. That's when the ideas come in. That's when the clarity comes in. And, you might be a client here listening to this, so somebody who comes to some of my programs. You know that I'll often talk about the value of taking mental breaks during your day, just for a few minutes to calm the snow globe down. But what I maybe haven't talked about that much is something I do myself, where I go into kind of what I would call deep snow globe mode, which I do for hours or sometimes days, where I'm deliberately just keeping the snow globe as settled as possible and not really allowing myself to ruminate, to stew, to get distracted, to keep my mind too busy. It's just allowing it to kind of rest like that cow just chewing the grass gently on the field. Now, it's probably not that easy to do. It's certainly simple to say. It's not always easy to do. I know that because we're addicted without realizing it, keeping the mind busy. Addicted. Yes, addicted. So I think the opportunity for high rejuvenation, especially over the holidays. Imagine yeah, look, we can all have fun over Christmas. We can drink, we can eat. I like that too. We'll have fun. We'll have late nights. That's great. At some point though, you'll look to restart. And I like to think about it's almost like resetting a computer. Sometimes, the computer might get some glitches, or maybe something happens to kind of shut it down or freeze. I think the same thing happens to our mind. And I'm seeing that more and more with people. I've certainly seen it in myself over the years. And sometimes you realize, you know what? It needs a reboot. It needs a complete reboot. And this time of the year, I think, is a great opportunity, a natural time to give it that kind of reboot. So you can do, for example, a micro break, like I'm talking about. Take a short snow globe moment during your day over the holidays, 5 minutes, 10 minutes here and there, breathe, walk, and just clear your mind, let thoughts settle. Or maybe you could do what I'm suggesting as well, which is to take extended downtime, neutral time. Plan like an afternoon hike or a morning hike or a complete tech-free evening, or maybe a day or even a couple of days where it's just allowing your mind to rest like the snow globe into the moment, and deliberately not making it busy. Even, as I say, with things like podcasts, dare I say it. That's one of the reasons why my podcast is short, because I like short podcasts. I don't particularly like long ones. I mean, who has the time? I don't know. Of course, if I have a trip, then sometimes a nice long podcast interview is nice, to be fair. So maybe you could consider as well, taking some time to deliberately over the holidays, don't do any problem solving, don't do any planning, but maybe be wary of some ideas or solutions popping in, or creative ideas coming in, making a note of them somewhere. That can be quite helpful. So what about you? Actually, sorry, before I do what about you in terms of some questions, just a couple of things. After I kind of generally enjoy my holidays, have a recharge, a reset, I usually, and I think it's kind of natural for the end of the year turning into a new year, I usually will do a little looking ahead. And over the years, I used to run a workshop called Blueprint, and I created a couple of workbooks for myself, one on the personal side and the one on my business side. And they are available to you as well online. I've got an academy and they're in there. And if I do say so myself, they're very helpful. They're very powerful. They have online videos, self-paced videos, and there's a workbook which is based on years and years, probably this stage, 20 years of refinements, because refinements based on what works. In fact, actually, I was only talking to somebody on the hike this morning, as it happens, who said to me that he met me 2015 and set out his vision for what he wanted to do. And he was telling me today that actually he pretty much has achieved everything that was on that vision, which is fantastic. And he's since done a new vision and different types of visions. So Blueprint Personal is for you if you're looking to get clarity over the next 3 years, personal, professional, and some extra tools and ideas that are a little bit more detailed than what I talk about in the podcast. And then also there's Blueprint Entrepreneur, which is maybe for a business owner, or you lead a big team, or even a small team, it doesn't really matter. Check that out, because that gives you a lot of strategies and tools. It's a high value, high impact, both of them. Anyway, that's enough about that. So what about you over the Christmas holiday period, or even depending on when you're listening to this, it could be any time of the year, it's still relevant. But specifically for the holiday period, like, will you keep your mind busy with endless activity and thinking without even realizing it? I'm including like television, tablets, social media, busy. Or will you allow yourself just to switch off? I'm kind of almost picturing you sitting, looking out a window, perhaps at a view, or maybe you're on a walk looking out over a valley like I was this morning. And you're just allowing yourself to be there. Not forced, not stressing about it, just taking it in as best you can. The kind of contemplative type of mode, neutral mode, or what I call 3C mode: calm, clear, centered. Could you give your mind the same stillness as looking out at that quiet valley? I'm really looking forward to it. I got the start of it today and I really feel the benefits straight away. And yeah, it's just great. And it's free, even better. It's built into us. So to close that, switching off isn't to me stepping away at all. It's an opportunity to step into clarity, into creativity, into renewal. And in simple terms, when you let your mind settle in the way we're talking about, you turn on its full potential. If you're listening to me around Christmas 2024, let me wish you a very happy Christmas. If you've been with me over these podcasts this year, thanks for listening. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for liking. It's always nice to get comments and feedback. And let's see what happens in 2025. But before we get to 2025, there's a lot of enjoyment to be done. So enjoy your holiday. And I'll see you at the next episode. Bye-bye.